Hey, what's going on YouTube? Anaris here with another exciting Starcraft 2 broadcast. Today we're going to be watching the second game in the best of 3 series between Liquid HerO, the red Protoss spawning over in the 8 o'clock position, facing off against EG.PuMa, the blue Terran spawning up in the 11 o'clock here today on Antigua Shipyards. This is, of course, a continuation from the IPL Season 3 Championship bracket. This is the first round in said bracket, and let me just say, man, game number 1 was just a exciting trip through Shakuras Plateau, and oh man, I'm just so delighted to be here today watching these guys play. Total nerd chills down my spine. Two of my favorite players duking it out on another map that is somewhat geared towards macro-oriented style of play. Now, the last match, you know, I'm not going to ruin it for you if you haven't seen it yet, but definitely something you should check out. I'm going to be looking to see here if HerO decides to open up with a more economic route, or if he's going to be going for some type of early pressure, considering the fact that, you know, they are so close. But of course, keep in mind, neither one of them has scouted each other out yet. They're both playing very conservatively with their workers, just keeping them all in minerals, trying to get any sort of economic advantage they possibly can. We see that HerO is dedicating that second chrono boost there towards the Nexus, so he is going to be sticking with some type of economic style play there, as he is actually saving up past a gateway. He could be going Nexus first. As a matter of fact, I would wager that is what he was doing, because I mean, he's already at 15 supply. He hasn't dropped a gateway. It's pretty simple. There's nothing really else he could do at this point. PuMa, on the other hand, is opting for a 1 Rax gas opener. Now, let's talk for just a second about what he could do with this. First of all, if he wanted to drop a tech lab, you know, he could apply some early pressure, be it with just a couple Marauders and Marines, or he could also drop a Reaper. Not having a gateway just yet will mean that he will be quite vulnerable down here to a Reaper hopping up and using this terrain to access the mineral line. It will require some good micromanagement from HerO in order to get past that stage of events. However, we see up here the barracks is just about completed. We're going to spot what happens. Notice how he's still mining gas here. Okay, that's fine, as he does pass the 100 gas mark. We see he is actually going to be going ahead for a factory. So yes, indeed, and he's still mining gas after that. So it kind of makes me wonder if he's going to be throwing on an add-on for this barracks, or if he's saving up for something else. Time will tell as he looks to close this wall and maintain his line of defense to prevent scouting. Although this factory is close enough, so he would, or his opponent would spot it if he scouted it out. But of course, there's that Marine there that should be able to pick off a probe. So HerO dropping his first geyser, going to be moving some probes over onto that. Everything's looking pretty standard. I mean, nothing too out of the ordinary here for this type of build. Nothing in the way of harassment, no sort of special deviation. We see, of course, that the cybernetics core just went down a second or two ago. Going to be going for that warp gate technology here in a little bit, and of course, probably dropping that second geyser at some point in the very near future as well. I say that because if he's going to be going that economic route, he's going to want to have that gas to support the building of Sentries. Very cheap, effective unit for early game defense, especially holding this ramp right here. Now, PuMa has scouted out the expansion now, so he's going to have an idea, okay, maybe I should go ahead and harass. We see he's already got that in mind. He wants to throw down a couple Hellions and try to harass that mineral line. Now, notice up here, HerO does have the probe that's going to come up and spot this, so he will be able to plan ahead of time. Notice how he already does have the Stalker on the way. This is pretty much to be expected. And of course, there goes the warp gate technology. And with the first Hellions coming out, we take a look at HerO, and we kind of analyze how vulnerable is he. Well, right now, I would say he is quite vulnerable if those Hellions decide to skirt around the edges. Of course, if they do decide to come right in here, the probes can come in and close the gap very quickly. Now, we'll watch now as the Hellions come in and start doing some damage. Oh, they go right to the middle! Oh, no! One of them gets surrounded there, but you see the probes are actually lining up for a perfect shot from the Hellion. He's got to watch out. Yep, finally, it is taken out. Total losses for that attack. We see 200 to 250. Total workers killed 1 to 4. So that brings us to 25 to 22. Still has a little bit of a worker advantage, but losing 4 probes at this stage of the game, certainly not a good thing. Of course, one of them was actually the probe up here, so that is not quite to be counted. But nonetheless, we do have 2 additional barracks going down, as well as his own command center, about 75% complete. Now, I think what's going on here is HerO, he might decide to come up and try to pressure a little bit, but I don't see that going too far. Again, 2 Stalkers and 1 bunker up here. Man, the odds are just really not in his favor, especially since he's going to be able to continue reinforcing with the Marines. You know, having the reactor on this factory is going to mean it's going to be able to pump out so many of those cheap Marines. Very good for defense. And, of course, we have here his expansion. It's just now completed. Now, another thing I want to point out here was his choice to go ahead and drop down 2 additional gateways before his robotics facility. This, to me, indicates that he really wants to apply some type of pressure using this, using these 3 gateways. He doesn't want to tech up too much. He wants to, get that tech and play it safe. But at the same time, he knows that his opponent now, has likely an expansion up here, although not as fast, because, again, the timing of those Hellions would indicate not a command center first build. So coming up here and attacking this, you see he did warp in several sentries. These are actually really good for attacking, up the ramp like this, because against a Terran player in particular, because you are able to force field the bunkers and basically keep those repairing SCVs from doing their job, and that can make your job so much easier when busting that up and then bringing it just down to the Marines. You can pretty much handle it from there. So with what he has moving out now, he has actually 3 of each unit, so these Zealots are going to come up here and take a lot of the damage. Can the force fields go down? He spots the SCVs there. Yep, he sees that there's 3 bunkers. There's definitely more than what he just saw a moment or two ago, so he's going to have to rethink his plan here. Is it going to work out so well? Probably not. He also does have the Scout over here coming around the mineral line, of course. The nice thing about this is that HerO did use a wave of warp-ins, at least 2 of the 3, to try to basically take out this factory instead of sending the forces up here, warping them in this location. So that is going to buy him a little bit more time. Of course, PuMa realizes this. He knows, okay, well, that means that's that much more that is not available up here. And he does have several Marauders now, so I think he knows he's in a pretty comfortable position, and HerO has to know at this point, by now, he's likely got more defenses. I'm not going to be able to bust that up without significant casualties. He's only invested into those 3 gateways. He does have the Colossi technology completed, but still, as far as just his raw army production power, really not good enough for a sustained assault against what he's facing up here. So with the fourth barracks working on the reactor, we see that PuMa is actually looking to move out. This is going to be a very strong attack. We see he does have the he does not have the stem pack upgrade. He does have concussive shells. That's what I was trying to say. A total brain fart for a second there. But he does have concussive shells, so that's going to help out a lot in dealing with those Zealots. Of course, they do not have the charge upgrade, so closing the gap is going to be very difficult. HerO is pretty much just going to have to rely on force fielding this ramp and basically just making sure that he can hold the top. But we see this forces actually came back and are going to be hanging out on defense now, so not moving out after all. Very interesting, but we see that HerO does have an observer out here, so he will know what his opponent is going to do, and of course he can also send it up here to the north as well. Notice how he's also working on hallucination. This is something that you don't always see in pro level, but when you do see, it's often very, very nice play. So he does have lots of energy, and hallucinations, you can use that for all kinds of purposes, whether it's just creating additional meat shields, faking tech, faking an attack up here at the main base and using it as a diversion. So many things. Speaking of diversions, look at what we have over here. As we see the main army splitting off and showing itself to that observer right there, we also see, oh, but look at this, he spots it. He knows that drop is going down, so the Protoss forces are moving to intercept that. PuMa moving out now. Will they engage? Oh, looks like he's going to try to go in. Nice! Force fields go down by Liquid HerO as he does manage to keep his Colossus safe. Notice how he also has a second one over here as well. Again, very subtle move, but at the same time, it has very, very far-reaching impacts for that last minute or so. So the nice thing about this is that the fact that he has been able to come up here and hold this for so long, he was able to deny the expansion while getting his own. And of course, HerO does have plenty of units here warped in and ready to defend. We see that medevac at about 50% hit points. Notice that Terran is also currently holding on to the watchtower. He will be losing that Marine, possibly a medevac as well, as he is not moving to try to defend, actually letting both of these units go away. That's actually a pretty substantial loss here at this point, because you see he only has 2 other medevacs here on the field. But notice how his force is just completely bypassing the main Protoss army. It's just running around. And you see, he's actually going to be able to come up here and do so much damage. The Protoss just now realizing, oh crap, you know what? I've got a whole bunch of Marines and Marauders annihilating my 3rd base. This is really not what I wanted to have happen, because, he spent so much time denying that expansion up there for the Terran. And now the Protoss has lost his own. Great force fields going down, although the Terran is trying to snipe off this Colossus. Will he get it? No! Blocked off by the force fields. That in combination of using the forge is going to mean that these infantry are going to be sandwiched nice and tightly packed away from the Colossus. We see here he does not have the range upgrade yet. Not even operational. He is choosing to use that gas instead to go ahead and get a Templar Archives, working on Blink as well. Fortunately for HerO, he does have the majority of his support units still intact. I do want to point that out. Also, he does have this nice little contingent of forces over here as well. So what he's going to be able to do is like exactly this. He's able to warp in a bunch of zealots, and basically he's still going to have the capability to drop some force fields and do some ranged support. PuMa spots that, quickly decides to go ahead and leave that army before it is taken out. And of course, HerO still spots where this is. And taking a look at the upgrades, we see we do have Weapons 1 already completed, Weapons 2 on the way, Armor 1, and we just now starting to have Protoss Ground Level 1 weapons upgrade. Protoss getting pretty close to this base, man. He spots it. He knows what's going on. He's maybe trying to catch the army as it does come down the ramp. Spots the turret though with his observer, and he is forced to hang back down. So as far as income is concerned, we see 1,400 to 2040 as this set of destructible rocks goes down. We see there's a pretty large gap in terms of workers. Again, the loss of this expansion was pretty darn substantial, but we see here that that HerO is still sitting pretty good on his tech. He's just about complete with Psystorm. And looking at his minerals and gas floating in around 400, 300. Terran is sitting pretty heavy on minerals, pretty low on gas actually, as he does try to continue to expand and tech out. You know, he does have all of his geysers now fully functional, and the Protoss actually looking like he may decide to just go in for an attack, which would be incredibly powerful at this point. Just looking at the unit composition, we see, okay, 3 Vikings, that's not too bad, 18 Marauders, 31 Marines, so a bunch of Psystorm can just obliterate that attack. And notice how, more importantly, no ghosts right now. So we're going to watch the Marines try to run up here. Psystorm's blanketing the area. Good split by PuMa, sending over a very small force to try to pick this off. There is still enough energy for 1 Psystorm left, ladies and gentlemen. That is it. He has got to be very careful with that. Make sure he does not accidentally waste it or just have it too easy for the Marines to dodge around. Unfortunately, speaking of too easy, those Zealots just charging in by themselves, way too simple of a kill. But the most important thing here is the fact that, well, most important thing now is the fact that HerO could lose those forces. But, you know, the fact that he was able to come in, deny the expansion, but notice how all the while he is facing this drop down here in the 3rd base. So this is not going to have quite the same effect. We actually look at the income and see a few probes were lost. That's about it. I think a total of 4 there. I was watching up here anticipating another possible intercept, but yeah, looks like that did not happen. So back up here to the north, we see forces have gone in, sandwiching 1 Marauder. Oh man, will HerO be able to actually intercept this army and get a really good Psystorm? The ghosts are on the way. We see 3 of them. It's only going to be a matter of time here in the next couple seconds before they can pop out and start landing those EMPs. Not quite enough energy yet, about another 15 or so, and we're going to start to see those land. There's that 3rd base coming in again. It is acting as a natural barrier against the Zealots. They are going to have to funnel in 2 different entry points, which is going to work out very well for PuMa. The inclusion of so many Archons, though, is a great move by HerO. You know, he did have all this High Templar that could not really do anything. And the fact that, you know, of course, Archons do extra damage against biological units means they are just going to be so well suited, especially when trying to engage in a situation like that, where, you know, the infantry are all bunched up nice and tightly packed together past a small choke point. The Archon can have reached past the Zealots and apply that splash damage where it's needed. So as far as income is concerned now, we see that expansion now taking shape for PuMa, as the Protoss is already in a little bit of an advantage with that. It's actually denied. We see 57 to 49. Terran is definitely not in a great position right now at all with his minerals. Notice how just about mined out up here. He's got to watch out, man. There's a lot of SCVs right there that he could stand to lose if they decide to go up there, but nope. Protoss decides to fall back, leaving only a couple High Templar in their place. Here comes another drop at the 4th expansion. This one's going to go down. Yep, canceled right there. HerO's just like, all right, you know what? I'm not going to worry too much about it. I know I'm at an advantage because I've been able to delay this expansion for so long, delaying mining at it, and simply just losing the command center. This is the 2nd time this is actually going to be destroyed. So as it comes crashing down, we see a ton of ghosts, man. He has got 8 ghosts worth of, well, not worth of EMP. I think a couple of those are still pretty low from having previously shot that off, plus sniping. But we see, with double upgrades on the way, currently sitting at 1-1, soon to be 2-1. I think that HerO is actually in a pretty good position right now. I mean, yes, there's still a couple Vikings here, but that's really not that big of an issue because HerO is in a great position to take this high-yield expansion. Why is he in a great position? Well, I mean, you look at the composition of his army, and it feels like he really has a good comp for dealing with this right here. He has enough Psystorm to just obliterate it. You know, he has 1 Colossus. He can drop plenty more hallucinations should he have to. In addition to the force fields, completely throw off the Terran army. There's the scan, of course, so Terran's like, well, maybe I should go ahead and try to engage that. But we spot that a lot of ghosts actually coming over here and getting picked off by a very nice offensive move with the Stalkers. Terran losing even more ghosts now. He only has a couple worth for EMP blasts. As we see, he is continuing to move around. A couple of zealots here, continuing to guarding against the drops. But PuMa really has to make this work at this point, because he just does not have the income to do anything. Where you see right now, he's mining pretty much just a long distance and what's left of this expansion right here. So he is looking to just move in for the kill, possibly take out this army, at least try to deny the income from this third base. You see him actually just running up here and trying to take out the gateways that aren't even turned yet into warp gates. If he can come up and get a good defensive position in a place like up here, then I think he would definitely have a chance. But the problem is, this is so tightly bunched up. Oh man, HerO is just begging for this to happen. You see, he's actually got to watch out for his High Templar. EMPs have landed. Will we see the Psystorms, man? Like I said before, this is just asking for it. Terran does not have a place to run or hide. He could try to lift off in his medevacs. Oh, there we go. Yes, there's the blink. Or not the blink, the Psystorm. Oh, man. Yep, HerO is just cleaning up his expansion. PuMa, with the few remaining units that he does have, trying to fly away and basically continue harassment elsewhere. Notice that you see 77 to 90. But Terran, like I said, he just does not have the income to support this. If he can continue with a sustained attack, like multiple drops, then he may be able to hold on. But the problem is he can't afford it. You look at the income right now, and you see neither player is really able to afford it. But, you know, the Protoss, he has got those Archons. He's got just a great composition right now. And what the Terran player has is just not enough. The Colossus does go down. Watching, though, is this is really down to the wire, ladies and gentlemen. One good storm right there. Oh, nice micro we see by PuMa, splitting up the forces. The workers coming in for the kill, and that's pretty much going to be it, man. You look at the income right now, you see 32 supply of that out of 46 is workers. This third expansion going down, the SCVs coming in as well. Is there anything that HerO can, or PuMa can do at this point? Nope, all he can do is GG, and that's going to bring it to a 1-1 tie, folks. Okay, so that's going to be it. Thank you for watching. I do hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you do, please be sure to subscribe. That helps me out a ton. Also, leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts of the game and, of course, of the casting. Even though I've been doing this for quite some time, I'm always trying to improve. So let me know what you think. See you in game number 3.